As Joe Biden turns to his inauguration and first 100 days, he's taking office in a deeply polarized country, one with a pandemic that's taken over 300,000 lives and depleted the economy. But these circumstances are not completely unprecedented. One particular president is often being cited as a model for Biden. In 1933, the country was in the midst of the worst depression in its history. A quarter of the workforce was unemployed, and 2 million people were homeless.
The country basically was falling apart, and the entire economy was in disastrous shape at that point.
Franklin Roosevelt's first 100 days would become the stuff of legend. The concept of the first 100 days didn't even exist until him. It begins on March 9th, when FDR calls for a special session of Congress, and they begin passing legislation that day. Over the next 100 days, FDR would send 15 bills to Congress, and 15 would come back for his signature. Those days and bills served as the foundation of the transformative New Deal.
And what followed basically got the economy going again. It put people back to work. It provided funding for those who couldn't help themselves. It meant that there was a kind of sense of confidence which had not been present before.
With Congress's help, FDR invested billions of dollars in public works programs, created collective bargaining power for unions, and secured minimum wages for workers. Before FDR, there was no Social Security or unemployment insurance either.
There were large-scale projects to basically rebuild the infrastructure of the country. He wanted people to have a sense of dignity. He wanted them to get back to work. And he believed fundamentally the government needed to help those who could not help themselves.
These reforms created 18 million jobs, dramatically reduced unemployment, and grew the economy throughout his 13 years as president. In all, FDR's New Deal reforms transformed the country and turned him into a progressive and liberal icon. Fast forward to today, and the country is again in a crisis. Unemployment has reached its highest since the Great Depression, and COVID has already claimed more lives than World War I, Korea, and Vietnam combined. All of which has pushed moderate Joe Biden to run on arguably the most progressive platform since FDR's New Deal.
Post the primary, Joe Biden is in discussions with Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, as he's trying to move forward and really bring in these more progressive constituencies. And during the pandemic, his policy proposals really were designed around helping as many people as he could, the government coming in and helping as many people as it could.
Let's break down Biden's platform into 4 main parts. The first, COVID. Biden's plan consists of a nationwide testing campaign, a 100,000 person public health job corps, using the Defense Production Act for PPE, and investing $25 billion into the distribution of a vaccine. His economic plan includes putting $700 billion in the manufacturing industry, creating millions of new union jobs by rebuilding U.S. infrastructure, free college tuition for middle and lower class families, and a national $15 minimum wage. For systemic racism, Biden is pledging $30 billion to help support minority-owned businesses, and over $70 billion to historically Black universities and minority-serving institutions. For police reform, he's promising a National Police Oversight Commission, a nationwide ban on chokeholds, and $300 million into community policing measures. Lastly, and most expensive, his climate plan. It's not the Green New Deal, but Biden pledges to create a clean energy economy by investing $2 trillion in 4 years in the space. He wants to provide American cities with zero-emission public transportation, upgrade 4 million buildings, initiate the construction of 1.5 million sustainable homes, and eliminate carbon emissions by year 2035. So the question remains, with these lofty and expensive progressive plans, can Joe Biden really be the next FDR? His first and biggest obstacle is Congress. During the 12-plus years of FDR's presidency, Democrats controlled both houses of Congress with a broad New Deal coalition.
He was also lucky that Congress was not as factionalized as it is today. And people did have a sense of affection for one another and a sense of respect for one another.
But today, bipartisanship is no longer politically tenable. And the Democratic Party, once hoping for outright majorities in both houses, is now betting everything on 2 Senate runoff elections in a newly shaded purple state in the South.
There was a lot of thought among Democrats that this was going to be a sweep across the country, and that's certainly not what happened.
And even if Dems do win the majority, some question how tough a President Biden will be defending these plans in the first place.
So Biden is sort of described as the ultimate deal maker, and now through the transition it's been a balancing act. He's tried to bring different sides together, and he knows he can't be completely bullish.
But with the uncertainty on when exactly COVID will end and at what economic and human costs, Biden's FDR-sized presidency very much rests up in the air.